Welcome to Stoic with You, your sanctuary for wisdom, clarity, and calm. Picture this, a world that endlessly demands more success, more connections, more distractions. It's overwhelming, isn't it? But here's a thought. What if the secret to a better life isn't about adding more, but learning to let go of what weighs you down? What if true peace and growth come not from shouting your transformation to the world, but embracing quiet, purposeful change within yourself? In today's episode, we're diving into the art of elimination. Inspired by Stoic philosophy, we'll explore 10 things you should quietly release from your life. These aren't superficial tips or quick fixes, but transformative steps to remove the clutter, mental, emotional, and even physical, that holds you back. We'll unpack the fear of others' opinions, toxic relationships, destructive habits, and more. Each one is like a small weight you've been carrying unnecessarily, and by setting them down, you create space for clarity, purpose, and peace. And the best part? These changes don't require loud announcements or validation from anyone else. They're deeply personal, practical, and completely within your control. Marcus Aurelius once said, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." That strength begins when you stop trying to control what's beyond you and start focusing on what's within you. So as we embark on this journey together, ask yourself, what's one thing you're ready to let go of today? Fear, clutter, judgment? What's quietly holding you back? Let me know your thoughts in the comments, and don't forget to subscribe to Stoic with You for more wisdom rooted in timeless Stoic principles. Get comfortable, take a deep breath, and let's explore the path to a life with less noise, more focus, and a sense of inner calm. Because sometimes the most profound transformations happen not in the spotlight, but in silence. Shall we begin? 1. Overcoming the fear of others' opinions. In life, how often do we find ourselves held back by the invisible chains of others' judgments? The fear of what others might think creeps into our decisions, shaping how we act, speak, or even dream. It's subtle but powerful, quietly dictating the course of our lives. We hesitate to share ideas, second-guess our actions, and shrink back from opportunities outside our comfort zone, all because of the looming shadow of imagined criticism. But here's the truth. People aren't thinking about you nearly as much as you believe. Most of us walk through life preoccupied with our own worries, insecurities, and daily struggles. The fear of judgment thrives on the illusion that everyone is watching, ready to dissect our every move. But the reality? People are busy. Even when someone judges you, how much does their opinion really impact your life? Will their thoughts pay your bills, build your dreams, or live your experiences? The weight of others' judgments is entirely optional, one you can choose to set down at any moment. This perspective is deeply rooted in Stoicism. Epictetus, a Stoic philosopher, reminds us to focus only on what is within our control, our thoughts, actions, and attitudes. How others perceive us lies entirely outside that realm of control. If you wish to improve, be content to be thought foolish and stupid, Epictetus once said. This isn't a call to embrace ignorance, but an invitation to embrace courage, the courage to grow despite discomfort and misunderstandings. But how do we begin to loosen the grip of this fear in daily life? It starts with awareness. The next time you catch yourself hesitating to act because of fear of judgment, pause. Ask yourself, am I acting in line with my values, or am I acting out of fear? If fear is driving you, challenge it. What's the worst that could happen? Most of the time, our imagined scenarios are far worse than reality. Here's a simple but transformative exercise. Take small, deliberate steps outside your comfort zone. Share a bold idea in a meeting. Post a personal story online. Try something unconventional, like wearing a style of clothing you've always admired but felt afraid to try. Each time you defy that fear and act anyway, you build resilience. Over time, what once felt terrifying will begin to feel empowering. Your environment matters too. Surround yourself with people who value your authenticity over conformity. Toxic relationships that amplify fear of judgment can magnify insecurity. Seek out those who encourage you to be yourself, who appreciate your growth rather than stifle it. But even in supportive environments, the ultimate goal is not to avoid judgment altogether. It's to grow strong enough that others' opinions no longer hold sway over you. The fear of others' opinions is deeply tied to our innate desire to belong. It's human nature to want acceptance. But true belonging doesn't come from suppressing who you are to fit in. It comes from mutual respect, from showing up as your authentic self and finding those who embrace you as you are. At the end of your life, ask yourself this: did I live according to my own values, or did I live a smaller life shaped by others' expectations? The answer will reveal what truly matters. Marcus Aurelius, the great Stoic emperor, wisely said, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." When you let go of the fear of others' opinions, the world becomes quieter, your mind clearer, and your path your own. You begin to act, not for validation, but for personal fulfillment. And in that space, free from the heavy burden of judgment, you discover the profound strength to live authentically, with clarity and courage. 2. Cutting out toxic relationships. Relationships are like mirrors. They reflect who we are and influence the way we view ourselves. But what happens when those mirrors become distorted, showing only criticism, doubt, or negativity? Toxic relationships, whether with friends, family, or colleagues, silently erode our sense of well-being. They drain our energy, diminish our confidence, and sometimes even make us question our worth. Cutting out these relationships is not an act of cruelty, it's an act of self-respect. Not all toxic relationships are obvious. They don't always involve explosive arguments or overt negativity. Sometimes toxicity appears in subtler forms: a friend who undermines you with backhanded compliments, a colleague who constantly dismisses your ideas, or a family member who makes you feel small under the weight of their expectations. Over time, these interactions create an emotional environment filled with tension and self-doubt. The Stoics understood the importance of maintaining inner peace by being selective about the company we keep. Epictetus once said, "Keep company only with people who uplift you, whose presence calls forth your best." This isn't about cutting ties the moment conflict arises. It's about recognizing patterns of consistent harm and deciding to prioritize your mental and emotional health. So how do you begin? The first step is awareness. Reflect on how certain relationships make you feel. After spending time with someone, do you feel energized, valued, and supported? Or do you leave feeling drained, anxious, or diminished? Pay attention to these emotional cues. They are your inner compass. Next, practice setting boundaries. This doesn't mean you have to cut people off entirely or create unnecessary drama. In fact, the most powerful way to distance yourself from toxic influences is often quiet and intentional. Gradually limit your time with individuals who bring negativity into your life. Instead, focus your energy on building connections with those who uplift and inspire you. Boundaries aren't about pushing people away, they're about protecting your peace. For example, if you have a friend who thrives on drama, you might choose to limit how often you engage with them or steer conversations toward neutral topics. Similarly, if a colleague consistently disrespects you, you can assertively but calmly communicate what behavior you find unacceptable. Sometimes, toxic relationships can be transformed through honest communication. People aren't perfect. They might not even realize the harm they're causing. By expressing how you feel and what you need from the relationship, you give them a chance to grow and improve. However, if open communication doesn't lead to meaningful change, it's okay to let go. As Marcus Aurelius advised, be tolerant with others and strict with yourself. This means offering understanding but also holding firm when your well-being is at stake. Letting go of toxic relationships can be challenging, especially when guilt, history, or fear of confrontation is involved. But remember, you are not obligated to hold on to connections that harm you. True relationships are reciprocal. They nourish your growth, not stifle it. Here's a practical exercise. Make 2 lists. On one list, write the names of people who uplift you, energize you, and encourage your growth. On the other, write the names of those who consistently drain your energy or bring negativity into your life. For each person on the second list, ask yourself, can this relationship be improved through communication? Or is it time to create distance? Then take one small action to prioritize your well-being, whether that's scheduling more time with supportive individuals or quietly stepping back from toxic ones. Remember, cutting out toxic relationships isn't about harshness, it's about kindness to yourself. By removing the weight of draining connections, you create space for healthier relationships to thrive. Surrounding yourself with people who see your worth helps you become the best version of yourself. As the Stoics remind us, our external environment often reflects our internal state. Choose wisely and protect your peace. In letting go, you're not losing. You're making room for the relationships that truly matter, ones that align with your values, uplift your spirit, and empower your growth. 3. Breaking free from destructive habits. Habits are the invisible threads that weave the fabric of our lives. Some habits strengthen us, anchoring us in stability and progress. But others, the destructive ones, quietly chip away at our well-being. Whether it's endless procrastination, late-night doom scrolling, emotional overeating, or neglecting self-care, these behaviors might seem harmless at first. Over time, however, they grow into obstacles that block our path to fulfillment, productivity, and inner peace. Breaking free from these destructive habits is not just about willpower. It's about self-awareness, intention, and consistent effort. The first step is recognizing the habits that no longer serve you. Many destructive routines operate on autopilot, slipping into our lives unnoticed. Ask yourself, what behaviors leave me feeling worse afterward? What actions are holding me back from the person I want to become? This process requires honesty, free of self-judgment. As the Stoics teach, self-awareness is the foundation of self-mastery. Seneca once said, "Most powerful is he who has himself in his own power." To reclaim control over your life, you must first understand the habits that have control over you. Once you've identified these habits, don't just focus on stopping them. Instead, replace them with healthier alternatives. For instance, if you tend to reach for your phone first thing in the morning, try replacing that habit with a brief moment of mindfulness, stretching, or journaling. If you overeat when stressed, consider channeling those emotions into a productive outlet, like walking, meditating, or talking to a trusted friend. The goal isn't to create a void, but to fill that space with something that nurtures rather than drains you. Another key to breaking destructive habits is starting small. Many people fail to change because they aim too high too quickly, trying to overhaul their entire routine overnight. This often leads to frustration and relapse. Instead, focus on incremental progress. As Epictetus advised, no great thing is created suddenly. Begin with one manageable change. If you want to reduce your social media usage, start by setting a 30-minute daily limit rather than going cold turkey. Over time, these small wins will build momentum and reinforce your confidence. Slip-ups are inevitable, and that's okay. Breaking free from destructive habits isn't about achieving perfection. It's about progress. When you stumble, practice self-compassion. Instead of harshly criticizing yourself, ask, what triggered this behavior? How can I respond differently next time? Every misstep is a chance to learn, grow, and refine your approach. Remember, the Stoics emphasize the importance of focusing on what you can control. You may not always control external temptations, but you can control your response to them. Here's a practical exercise to start reclaiming your habits. Choose one habit you want to change this week. Identify what triggers this behavior. Decide on a healthier alternative to replace it. Track your progress daily. At the end of the week, reflect on how the change has impacted your mood, energy, and overall sense of control. Breaking destructive habits is also about reshaping your environment. If your workspace is cluttered, it can contribute to procrastination. If your kitchen is filled with junk food, it makes healthy eating harder. Adjust your surroundings to align with the behaviors you want to cultivate. As Marcus Aurelius said, you have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength. By controlling your environment, you make it easier to focus your willpower on actions that matter. Finally, surround yourself with people who inspire discipline and growth. A supportive community can provide encouragement and accountability when you need it most. Share your goals with a trusted friend, join a group aligned with your aspirations, or find a mentor who embodies the habits you want to cultivate. In the end, breaking free from destructive habits isn't just about eliminating what harms you. It's about creating space for what strengthens and uplifts you. Every small step you take, every quiet choice to replace a negative habit with a positive one, is a step toward greater freedom, self-respect, and peace. By mastering your habits, you shape your life into one of intention and purpose, aligning your daily actions with the person you aspire to become. 4. Letting go of the need to control everything. How often do you find yourself clinging to control, trying to manage every detail of your life, your relationships, your work, or even the outcomes of situations you cannot influence? The desire for control is a deeply human instinct. It gives us a sense of safety and predictability in a world that often feels chaotic. But here lies the paradox. The more we try to control everything, the more stress and frustration we invite into our lives. Life, by its very nature, is unpredictable. Clinging to the illusion of control only sets us up for disappointment when things inevitably go awry. The Stoics understood this well and embraced a different mindset, one that focuses on controlling what is within your power while releasing what lies beyond it. Epictetus famously taught, "Some things are up to us, and some things are not." The key to inner peace is learning to distinguish between the two. Imagine this. You're stuck in traffic on your way to an important meeting. You cannot control the cars around you or the time you'll arrive. What you can control, however, is your reaction. You could choose frustration, honking your horn, cursing under your breath, and working yourself into a state of stress. Or you could take a deep breath, accept the situation, and use the time to listen to a podcast, reflect on your day, or practice gratitude for having a car at all. The situation remains the same, but your experience changes entirely based on where you direct your energy. Letting go of control doesn't mean becoming passive or indifferent. It means redirecting your focus to what truly matters, your thoughts, actions, and responses. Marcus Aurelius captured this beautifully. You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength. By accepting uncertainty and embracing life's unpredictability, you free yourself from unnecessary suffering. Practicing detachment from outcomes is a powerful step in this process. Detachment doesn't mean you stop caring. It means you do your best in any given situation and let go of the need for a specific result. For example, if you're working on a project, pour your energy into producing your best work. But instead of obsessing over whether it will be praised or criticized, focus on the satisfaction of knowing you gave it your all. This mindset reduces anxiety and allows you to remain grounded, no matter the outcome. A practical way to start letting go of control is by asking yourself a simple question whenever stress arises. Is this something I can control? If the answer is yes, take meaningful action. If the answer is no, practice releasing the need to control it. Remind yourself, I can't control this, but I can control how I respond to it. Over time, this habit will train your mind to prioritize peace over resistance. Mindfulness can also help. When you stay present in the moment, your focus shifts from worrying about the uncontrollable future to appreciating what's in front of you. Try simple mindfulness practices like observing your breath for a few minutes or taking note of the sensations around you, how the air feels on your skin or the sounds in your environment. These exercises remind you to ground yourself in what is real and immediate, rather than expending energy on what's beyond your reach. It's also worth reflecting on the futility of trying to control the uncontrollable. As Marcus Aurelius wisely observed, everything is born from change. Life flows like a river, constantly shifting and evolving. Fighting against this natural rhythm only creates tension. Instead, we must learn to flow with it, to embrace change as an integral part of existence. Here's a small but transformative exercise. Pick one situation today that's causing you stress because it's not going as planned. Pause and ask yourself, what part of this can I control? Focus on that aspect and let go of the rest. Notice how it feels to release the burden of control, even for a moment. Letting go of control isn't about giving up. It's about choosing peace over anxiety, acceptance over resistance. By focusing on what you can influence, your thoughts, actions, and attitude, you reclaim your energy and free yourself from the exhausting struggle of trying to control the uncontrollable. In that freedom, you'll find clarity, strength, and calm. You'll discover that life's beauty often lies not in what you can dictate, but in the surprises it brings. And when you let go of the need to control everything, you finally make room for the things that truly matter. Peace of mind, meaningful connections, and the resilience to face whatever comes your way. Number 5, releasing unrealistic expectations. Unrealistic expectations are the silent saboteurs of our peace of mind. They create a gap between the idealized version of life we hold in our minds and the reality that unfolds before us. Whether it's expecting people to always meet our standards, assuming success should come quickly and effortlessly, or believing life should progress without setbacks, these expectations leave us frustrated, disheartened, and drained. Letting go of unrealistic expectations is not about lowering your standards. It's about freeing yourself from unnecessary stress and aligning with the natural flow of life. We've all fallen into this trap at some point. Perhaps you expected a friend to understand your needs without being told, only to feel hurt when they didn't. Or maybe you set an ambitious goal, assuming progress would be linear, and then felt defeated when obstacles appeared. The problem isn't in wanting more, it's in rigidly attaching ourselves to a specific outcome, forgetting that life is inherently unpredictable. Marcus Aurelius, the Stoic emperor, taught us to embrace this unpredictability. He wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." This wisdom reminds us that while we cannot control how life unfolds, we can control how we respond when things don't go as planned. By releasing rigid expectations, we open ourselves to experiencing life as it truly is, not as we think it should be. One of the most common sources of unrealistic expectations is perfectionism. Many of us hold ourselves to impossibly high standards, expecting flawless execution in everything we do. But perfection is an illusion, a moving target that leaves us feeling like we're never enough. Letting go of perfectionism means shifting the focus from perfection to progress. Each mistake, each stumble is not a failure, but an opportunity to learn, grow, and improve. As Epictetus said, "No great thing is created suddenly." Another source of unrealistic expectations lies in how we view others. We often expect people to behave in ways that align perfectly with our values or ideals, but the reality is that everyone is flawed, just as we are. People have their own struggles, perspectives, and limitations. Expecting them to always understand us or act in a certain way is a recipe for disappointment. Instead, practice acceptance and empathy. This doesn't mean tolerating harmful behavior, but rather recognizing that not everyone will meet your expectations, and that's okay. So how do we begin to release unrealistic expectations? The first step is self-awareness. Reflect on areas in your life where you're feeling frustrated or disappointed. Ask yourself, am I upset because reality is genuinely unfair, or because I'm clinging to an unrealistic expectation? Often you'll find that the latter is true. The next step is to shift your mindset toward flexibility. Instead of expecting things to go perfectly, prepare for different outcomes. For instance, if you're pursuing a new career, expect challenges along the way. If you're planning an event, accept that not everything will unfold exactly as planned. Flexibility doesn't mean settling for less. It means being open to the reality that life is full of surprises. Gratitude is another powerful antidote to unrealistic expectations. When we fixate on what's missing, we forget to appreciate what's already present. Take a moment to reflect on the things you're grateful for today. A kind word from a friend, a warm meal, or simply the fact that you've made it this far. Gratitude shifts your focus from scarcity to abundance, grounding you in the richness of the present moment. Here's a practical exercise. Think about an area in your life where you've been feeling frustrated. Ask yourself, is my frustration rooted in unrealistic expectations? If so, try reframing your perspective. Instead of expecting everything to go perfectly, focus on what you can control: your effort, your attitude, and your response. Releasing unrealistic expectations doesn't mean giving up hope or ambition. It means letting go of rigid ideas about how things should be and embracing the reality of how things are. Life rarely unfolds exactly as we imagine it, but that doesn't mean it's any less beautiful. By aligning your mindset with life's natural unpredictability, you free yourself to experience joy in progress, resilience in setbacks, and peace in imperfection. In the end, the true measure of a fulfilled life isn't whether everything went according to plan. It's whether you learned, grew, and found meaning along the way. By letting go of unrealistic expectations, you create space for acceptance, gratitude, and inner peace. As the Stoics remind us, true strength lies not in controlling the uncontrollable, but in finding harmony within the chaos of life. 6. Letting go of the need to always be right. The need to always be right is a powerful force that many of us struggle with, often without even realizing it. Whether it's in a heated argument, a casual discussion, or simply within our own minds, the desire to prove that we're correct can sometimes take over, leading us to prioritize being right over maintaining peace or fostering understanding. But the irony is that this relentless pursuit of being right often erodes relationships, adds unnecessary stress, and leaves us feeling isolated. Letting go of the need to always be right is not about surrendering your beliefs or opinions. It's about choosing harmony over ego, understanding over conflict, and peace over pride. At its core, the need to be right stems from our egos. We want validation, approval, and to feel superior. It's a natural human desire to want to be seen as knowledgeable or capable, but when this need becomes overwhelming, it turns every conversation into a battle. Instead of seeking to understand, we focus on winning. We hold on to our positions with such rigidity that we miss the opportunity to learn, grow, or even connect on a deeper level with others. The Stoics had a profound understanding of this. Epictetus, one of the great Stoic philosophers, taught us that true wisdom comes from humility, the willingness to acknowledge that we do not have all the answers. He said, "It is impossible for a man to learn what he thinks he already knows." In other words, when we insist on being right, we close ourselves off to new perspectives and ideas. We stop being students of life and instead become prisoners of our own certainty. So how do we begin to let go of the need to always be right? The first step is to practice self-awareness. Pay attention to your reactions in conversations, especially when you feel the urge to defend your position at all costs. Notice the emotions that arise. Do you feel defensive, angry, or frustrated? These are clues that your ego is at play. When you catch yourself in these moments, pause and reflect. Ask yourself, is it more important to be right, or is it more important to connect, understand, and maintain peace? One of the most powerful tools in letting go of the need to always be right is active listening. Next time you find yourself in a disagreement, instead of immediately jumping in to defend your point, take a step back and truly listen to what the other person is saying. Ask questions to understand their perspective and listen with the intent to learn, not to respond. When you listen with an open heart and mind, you create space for dialogue, mutual respect, and deeper connection. It's not about winning the argument. It's about understanding the person across from you. Another key practice is humility. Embrace the idea that not knowing everything is not a weakness. It's a strength. Admitting when we're wrong or uncertain is not a sign of defeat, but of growth. As Marcus Aurelius wisely put it, the impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way. When we let go of the need to be right, we open ourselves up to the possibility of personal growth. We allow ourselves to see mistakes as opportunities for learning rather than threats to our identity. Sometimes, letting go of the need to always be right also means choosing your battles wisely. Not every disagreement requires a winner or a loser. In fact, many of the things we argue about, small details or minor misunderstandings, are not worth the emotional energy we invest in them. When you catch yourself engaging in a pointless argument, ask yourself, is this worth my peace? If the answer is no, let it go. You don't have to prove anything to anyone. Here's a simple exercise to help you practice letting go of the need to be right. The next time you're in a discussion and feel the urge to argue, pause and ask yourself, am I listening to understand? Or am I just waiting for my turn to speak? Shift your focus to genuinely hearing the other person's perspective. Afterward, reflect on how it felt to prioritize understanding over winning. You may be surprised at how much more fulfilling and peaceful the conversation becomes. Letting go of the need to always be right is ultimately about choosing peace over pride. It's about valuing relationships more than being seen as the winner in an argument. True wisdom lies not in defending our ego, but in embracing humility, learning from others, and fostering understanding. As you practice this, you'll find that life becomes less about competing with others and more about growing together. You'll also notice that when you relinquish the need to always be right, your relationships become deeper, more respectful, and more connected. In the end, the need to be right only limits us. When we release it, we open ourselves to the possibility of true growth, both as individuals and as members of a larger, interconnected world. Letting go of the need to always be right doesn't mean losing. It means winning at life by finding peace, connection, and wisdom in the process. 7. Silencing the digital noise. In today's hyper-connected world, our lives are constantly interrupted by the buzz of notifications, the endless stream of emails, and the bottomless pit of social media feeds. The convenience of technology has brought us closer to each other, but further away from ourselves. Digital noise has become an ever-present background hum in our lives, filling every quiet moment with distractions. It keeps our minds busy, but not productive, our attention scattered, but not focused. Silencing this digital noise isn't about rejecting technology. It's about reclaiming control over how we engage with it and prioritizing our mental peace. The problem with digital noise isn't just that it consumes our time, it consumes our mental space. Every ping and alert pulls us away from the present moment, creating a state of perpetual distraction. We often feel like we're staying informed or connected, but in reality, we're overstimulating our brains, reducing our ability to focus, and neglecting the deeper, quieter parts of life that bring meaning. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events." Realize this, and you will find strength. In the context of the digital age, this wisdom reminds us that while we cannot eliminate all the distractions in the world, we can control how we respond to them. The strength lies in choosing how we allocate our attention, treating it as the precious resource it is. To begin silencing the digital noise, the first step is awareness. Take a moment to reflect on your digital habits. How often do you pick up your phone without purpose? How much of your day is spent scrolling mindlessly through feeds or responding to non-urgent notifications? Recognizing these patterns is crucial because you cannot change what you don't acknowledge. Once you've identified your habits, start decluttering your digital environment. Unfollow social media accounts that don't add value to your life, unsubscribe from unnecessary email lists, and turn off non-essential notifications. This process is like spring cleaning for your mind. It removes the clutter that keeps you in a state of constant reactivity. Every step you take to reduce the noise creates more space for clarity, focus, and calm. Another powerful practice is to establish tech-free moments in your day. Start small. Set aside the first 30 minutes of your morning and the last 30 minutes before bed as tech-free zones. In the morning, instead of reaching for your phone, try journaling, meditating, or simply enjoying a quiet cup of coffee. In the evening, disconnect from screens and use the time to unwind, read, or reflect on your day. These small rituals help create boundaries and restore a sense of balance to your life. It's also important to set intentional limits on your digital consumption. For example, instead of checking your email or social media every time you feel bored, designate specific times in the day to engage with these platforms. Use features like app timers or do not disturb mode to enforce these limits. By confining digital engagement to designated periods, you reclaim the ability to focus deeply on what truly matters. When you step back from the digital noise, you also reconnect with the present moment. The Stoics emphasize the importance of mindfulness and staying rooted in the here and now. Seneca once wrote, "It is not that we have a short time to live, but that we waste a lot of it." The hours we lose to digital distractions could be spent nurturing meaningful relationships, pursuing passions, or simply enjoying the beauty of the world around us. Here's a practical exercise to try. Choose one day this week to take a digital detox. During this time, turn off all unnecessary devices and commit to being fully present in the real world. Go for a walk without your phone, have a face-to-face conversation, or spend time in nature. At the end of the day, reflect on how it felt to step away from the noise and reconnect with yourself. Silencing digital noise isn't about abandoning technology altogether. It's about using it with intention. Technology is a tool, not a master. When used mindfully, it can enhance our lives. But when left unchecked, it controls us, pulling us away from the things that matter most. In letting go of the constant hum of digital distractions, you create space for deeper focus, richer conversations, and greater peace of mind. You begin to prioritize quality over quantity, choosing depth over the shallowness of endless notifications. And as you reclaim your attention, you'll find that life feels less overwhelming and more fulfilling. The digital world will always be there, buzzing with updates and alerts. But your time, your focus, and your peace of mind are finite. Choose to protect them. By silencing the digital noise, you're not disconnecting from the world. You're reconnecting with yourself. 8. Transforming negative thoughts into positive ones. Negative thoughts are like weeds in a garden. They often start small, almost unnoticeable. But if left unchecked, they grow and take over, draining our energy and clouding our minds. Self-doubt, worry, and harsh self-criticism creep in, shaping our perception of the world, and most importantly, how we see ourselves. These mental loops can make life feel heavier than it is, pulling us away from clarity and peace. Transforming negative thoughts into positive ones isn't about forcing fake optimism or ignoring reality. It's about taking control of your inner dialogue and consciously choosing thoughts that uplift rather than weigh you down. The Stoics believed that the quality of our thoughts determines the quality of our lives. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "The soul becomes dyed with the color of its thoughts." In essence, our inner world shapes our outer reality. If we fill our minds with negativity, it's no surprise that our days feel bleak. But when we actively cultivate constructive and empowering thoughts, we can change how we experience life, even in challenging circumstances. The first step in transforming negative thoughts is awareness. Many of us don't realize how often we engage in negative self-talk because it's become a habit. Pay attention to the voice in your head. When you catch a negative thought, don't judge yourself for having it. Simply acknowledge it and ask, is this thought helping me, or is it holding me back? This simple act of questioning creates enough distance to prevent the thought from controlling you. Reframing is a powerful tool in this process. Reframing doesn't deny challenges, but instead shifts the perspective towards something more constructive. For example, instead of thinking, "I always mess things up," try reframing it as, "I made a mistake, but it's an opportunity to learn and grow." This shift in perspective turns failures into lessons, replacing self-criticism with self-compassion. Gratitude is another antidote to negativity. When negative thoughts focus your attention on what's missing or what's going wrong, gratitude redirects it to what's already present and going well. Take a moment to pause and list 3 things you're grateful for in this very moment. They don't have to be grand. Simple things like a warm cup of tea, a supportive friend, or a sunny day can be enough to remind you of life's abundance. Gratitude doesn't erase challenges, but it balances your perspective and helps you see the bigger picture. Your environment plays a significant role in shaping your thoughts. Surround yourself with people who inspire and uplift you, rather than those who fuel negativity. The content you consume also matters. Choose books, podcasts, and media that foster growth and positivity. As Seneca wisely said, associate with those who will make a better man of you. By consciously curating your surroundings, you create a space that supports healthier thought patterns. Here's a practical exercise to start transforming your thoughts. The next time you find yourself in a negative thought loop, pause and take a deep breath. Ask yourself, is this thought based on facts, or is it rooted in fear or assumption? If it's the latter, challenge it. Replace it with a thought that is more balanced and empowering. For instance, if you think I'll never succeed, reframe it as, success takes time, and every step I take brings me closer to my goal. Over time, this practice will train your mind to default to constructive thoughts rather than destructive ones. Practicing mindfulness is another effective way to counteract negativity. Mindfulness anchors you in the present moment, helping you observe your thoughts without being consumed by them. Simple practices like focusing on your breath, meditating, or even taking a walk in nature can quiet the mental chatter and bring clarity. It's also essential to practice self-compassion. Understand that negative thoughts are a natural part of being human. There will be moments when you slip into old patterns, and that's okay. Instead of beating yourself up, treat those moments as opportunities to grow. Ask yourself, what triggered this thought, and how can I handle it differently next time? This gentle approach builds resilience and helps you develop a more forgiving relationship with yourself. Transforming negative thoughts into positive ones isn't about pretending everything is perfect. It's about choosing a mindset that empowers you to face life's challenges with strength and grace. Over time, this practice rewires your brain, making optimism and resilience your default state. Remember, you can't always control the first thought that pops into your mind, but you can control whether you dwell on it or replace it with something better. As Marcus Aurelius wrote, you have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength. By taking ownership of your thoughts, you reclaim your inner world and open the door to a life filled with greater peace, purpose, and joy. 9. Clearing physical and mental clutter. Clutter, whether physical or mental, is like excess baggage we carry through life. It weighs us down, drains our energy, and creates noise in our lives, making it harder to focus, feel calm, and find clarity. A cluttered environment and an overburdened mind often reflect each other, creating a cycle that leaves us feeling overwhelmed. Clearing both physical and mental clutter is not just about tidying up your space or calming your mind. It's about creating room for what truly matters. Let's start with physical clutter. Have you ever noticed how a messy desk or a disorganized room makes it harder to concentrate or feel at ease? It's not just about aesthetics. Your brain processes every item in your environment as information, even if you're not consciously aware of it. This sensory overload can increase stress and reduce your ability to focus. When you clear your space, you're not just removing objects, you're freeing your mind from unnecessary distractions. The process of decluttering doesn't have to be overwhelming. Start small. Choose one area, perhaps your desk, a single drawer, or a corner of your room. Ask yourself, does this item add value to my life? Does it serve a purpose or bring me joy? If the answer is no, let it go. As you create more physical space, you'll likely notice a sense of mental lightness as well. It's not about achieving perfection, it's about intentionality, surrounding yourself only with what supports your well-being and aligns with your values. Now let's talk about mental clutter. This can take many forms: racing thoughts, unaddressed emotions, unfinished tasks, or even a constant barrage of what-ifs and worries. Just like physical clutter, mental clutter distracts you from focusing on what truly matters. The Stoics understood this deeply. Seneca said, "It is not that we have a short time to live, but that we waste a lot of it." Mental clutter often comes from giving too much attention to things that don't deserve it. One of the most effective ways to clear mental clutter is through journaling. Spend a few minutes each day writing down your thoughts, worries, or tasks. This simple practice acts as a mental download, freeing your mind from the burden of holding on to everything. Journaling also helps you identify recurring patterns or concerns, allowing you to address them intentionally rather than letting them linger in the background. Another strategy for mental decluttering is mindful prioritization. Often, our minds feel overwhelmed because we're juggling too many things at once. Instead of scattering your energy across a long to-do list, focus on the most important tasks. Each morning, write down your top 3 priorities for the day. By simplifying your focus, you reduce mental overwhelm and increase your sense of accomplishment. Meditation and mindfulness exercises can also help quiet mental noise. Taking even 5 minutes to focus on your breath or simply observe your thoughts without judgment can create a sense of calm. Marcus Aurelius, the Stoic emperor, often reflected on the importance of focusing on the present moment. He wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." By practicing mindfulness, you learn to let go of distractions and center yourself in the here and now. Here's a practical exercise to clear both physical and mental clutter. Choose a small physical space to declutter today: a shelf, a drawer, or your workspace. Remove anything that no longer serves you and organize what remains. Spend 5 minutes writing down any thoughts, worries, or unfinished tasks cluttering your mind. Reflect on how these 2 actions make you feel. Does your space feel lighter? Does your mind feel clearer? As you practice decluttering regularly, you'll notice how closely your physical and mental environments are connected. A clear space promotes a clear mind, and vice versa. Clearing clutter isn't about getting rid of everything. It's about making space for what truly matters. It's about simplifying life so you can focus your energy on the things that bring you joy, purpose, and peace. The Stoics taught us to value what is essential and let go of what is not. By removing the noise, both external and internal, you create a life that is lighter, more intentional, and deeply aligned with your values. Remember, it's not the size of the action that matters, but the consistency. Small, steady steps like decluttering a drawer or journaling for a few minutes can lead to profound changes over time. By clearing the clutter in your life, you're not just making room for clarity and focus, you're making room for growth, fulfillment, and peace. 10. Escaping the trap of unnecessary comparisons. Comparison is a thief of joy. In today's world, where social media constantly showcases the highlight reels of other people's lives, it's easy to fall into the trap of measuring your own worth against others. Someone gets a promotion, shares their luxurious vacation, or announces a new milestone, and suddenly, your own accomplishments feel smaller, your life less exciting, and your progress inadequate. But here's the truth: comparison is a distortion, and escaping its grip is essential for living a content and fulfilling life. The problem with unnecessary comparisons is that they're based on incomplete information. You're comparing your full reality, your struggles, insecurities, and quiet moments, with someone else's carefully curated snapshots of success. It's an unfair and unrealistic comparison that can only lead to feelings of inadequacy and self-doubt. Seneca, the Stoic philosopher, wisely advised, "As long as you live, keep learning how to live." This reminds us that life is a personal journey, and the only meaningful comparison is the one we make with our past selves. The Stoics believed in focusing inward rather than outward. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." Applying this to comparison means shifting your focus from what others are doing to what truly matters to you. Instead of chasing external markers of success, define success on your own terms. What are your values? What goals align with your personal growth? When you stop living according to someone else's definition of achievement, you free yourself to focus on what truly fulfills you. Gratitude is one of the most effective ways to break free from unnecessary comparisons. When we compare ourselves to others, we often fixate on what we lack. Gratitude shifts that focus to what we already have. Take a moment to reflect on the things in your life that bring you joy, no matter how small. Whether it's a supportive friend, a warm cup of coffee, or the opportunity to pursue your dreams at your own pace. Gratitude grounds you in abundance rather than scarcity, reminding you that your life is enough as it is. Another way to escape the comparison trap is to limit your exposure to its triggers. Social media, while valuable in some ways, often magnifies feelings of inadequacy by presenting an endless stream of others' accomplishments. If scrolling through your feed leaves you feeling worse rather than better, it's time to take a step back. Unfollow accounts that provoke negative feelings, and spend more time engaging in activities that bring you fulfillment, whether it's reading, exercising, or connecting with loved ones. Remember, you control what you consume, and curating a positive digital environment is a powerful step toward maintaining your peace of mind. Here's a practical exercise. The next time you catch yourself comparing your life to someone else's, pause and ask yourself, what's one thing I've accomplished recently that I'm proud of? Write it down. This small action helps redirect your focus from others to your own progress. Over time, these moments of self-reflection will reinforce your sense of self-worth. It's also important to remind yourself that everyone's journey is different. What works for one person may not work for you, and that's okay. Life is not a race or a competition. It's a deeply personal experience. As the Stoics remind us, true contentment comes from within, not from trying to keep up with others. In the end, unnecessary comparisons are distractions. They pull you away from appreciating your unique path and create stress over things that often have no real significance in your life. By letting go of the need to measure yourself against others, you free yourself to focus on what truly matters: your growth, your happiness, and your fulfillment. Marcus Aurelius reminds us, don't waste what's left of your life worrying about other people unless it affects the common good. It will keep you from doing anything useful. Let this wisdom guide you. When you stop comparing and start living according to your own values, you'll discover that your life doesn't need to look like anyone else's to be meaningful and complete. Remember, your worth isn't determined by how you measure up to others, but by how closely you live in alignment with your own values and goals. Embrace your journey, celebrate your progress, and let go of the need to compete. In doing so, you'll find greater peace, fulfillment, and a renewed sense of purpose, free from the weight of unnecessary comparisons. Dear friends, we've just journeyed through 10 powerful ways to simplify, declutter, and transform your life through the lens of Stoic wisdom. From letting go of the fear of others' opinions to breaking free from destructive habits, silencing the digital noise, and escaping the trap of unnecessary comparisons, each step brings you closer to a life of clarity, purpose, and inner peace. The message throughout has been clear. Transformation doesn't require grand gestures or public declarations. True change happens quietly, through small, intentional choices and an unwavering commitment to align your actions with your values. As Marcus Aurelius reminded us, you have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this and you will find strength. So now I leave you with this question. What's one thing you can quietly eliminate from your life today? Maybe it's a lingering fear, a toxic relationship, or even a simple bad habit. Start small. No step is too insignificant. Each deliberate choice to let go creates space for growth, peace, and authenticity. Thank you for being here, for reflecting, and for exploring these timeless lessons with me. If today's journey resonated with you, I'd love to hear your thoughts. Share them in the comments below. And don't forget to subscribe to Stoic with You for more wisdom that helps you navigate life with strength and serenity. Until next time, remember, the most profound transformations often happen in silence. Keep letting go, keep growing, and most importantly, stay true to yourself. You're already on the path to something greater. Stay strong, my friend.